3, 2.
Yo, what's up? Ladies and gentlemen.
Motorsport 411 presents
All the 4 and 2-wheeled action.
Motorsport 411 with Sean Cardavillis.
Welcome to Motorsport 411, your home for all your 4 and 2-wheel action in Africa. Coming up in this episode, we have a roundup of the Eldoret Rally with winner Jasmeet Chana. We preview this weekend's Motocross of African Nations event with Apollo Mbuki of Kenya. And we have a review of last weekend's Rally Finland with Colin Clark of Dirtfish.
All the 4 and 2-wheeled action. Motorsport 411.
Welcome to the show. So Jasmeet Chana increased his lead in the Kenya National Rally Championship following victory at last weekend's Eldoret Rally. After the event, we spoke to the Iceman. Jasmeet, thank you so much for joining us on Motorsport 411. Congratulations to you and Ravi. It was your second rally win this season. How did it feel winning in Eldoret?
You know, when we came out of the power stage and Ravi told me we won the rally, I kept quiet for quite a few minutes because it didn't register until I got to the service park, and that's when I really thought, okay, we have won.
Some good competition in Eldoret from the FIA Youngstars.
Yes, it was quite a challenging road for us in the morning loop. It was quite slippery, but I guess the Fords don't like the slippery surface, whereas the E was a bit heavier and kind of tackled the slippery stages better than the Fords.
How difficult is it for you still try to compete with the R3s and the R5s?
Like I've always said, Sean, the R3 is a very quick car. Power to weight ratio compared to the Evo. Right now with the B13, we have more straight line speed, but when it comes to tight corners and the twisties, they're still quicker.
How was the route over the weekend?
I'd like to congratulate Western Kenya Motorsports Club for organizing a brilliant event. Super roads. I mean, once it had dried up, it was amazing. I wish the WRC would go there.
Now, you got Rubis. Rubis were on board for this event. Come rain or shine, you guys seem to be at every event. How are you able to pull it off despite the tough economic times?
Well, rallying has been in our blood for a long time, since my dad's time. To us, we have to rally because we enjoy it. We go out there to have fun, at the same time to perform. Rubis has changed our rallying since Safari and since they came on board. The support that I've not had, I've got it now. And you can see the results. And I thank Rubis Energy Kenya Limited for supporting me.
You've increased your lead in the Kenya National Rally Championship. Now, what's your strategy in terms of the rest of the championship?
Well, Sean, our aim is to rack as many points as we can. It's not about winning. As long as we get our podium finishes, we should be safe. We do still have space to push. And I know from now, going to the end of the season, we will have more cars coming in. But the monkey is not on my shoulders. That's one thing I would like to make clear. The monkey is not on my shoulders. I have no pressure. My job is to make sure I get the most points.
Why are you called the Iceman?
Because I've always been a calm person. Have you ever seen Jasmeet making noise in the car, outside the car, or anywhere?
And of course, your driving style as well. Very clean driving style.
Yes.
Jasmeet the Iceman Chana. Congratulations to you, Ravi, and the rest of the CRS team. Thank you so much for speaking to us on Motorsport 411.
Thank you.
So let's go to Cape Town, South Africa, where the Motocross of African Nations is set to be held this weekend. On the line is team captain for Kenya, Apollo Mbuki. Apollo, thank you so much for joining us on Motorsport 411. You're in Cape Town. It's a big event, the Motocross of African Nations. First of all, how many Kenyans are there?
Right here, we have 16 Kenyans. That's all the way from 50, 65, all the way to MX1. Each class is about, 3 to 5 riders.
All right. And how many countries are there for the event?
There's about 10 countries. Zimbabwe is going to be there. South Africa is going to be there. Uganda is going to go. Botswana is also going to be there. Namibia, Zambia, Tanzania, and also a couple privateer, individuals.
Are you going to be competing in the MX1 class? Just tell us what's happening this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to be in the MX1. I'm the only Kenyan. I'm going to go against a couple other, I think 5 South African guys and, 5 Botswana people. And I think there's one person coming from Morocco and Uganda, which is going to be cool. Also, I've seen some guys from Madagascar coming for the event as well. So, it's just going to be exciting. It's going to be a cool event.
Just give us more details about your bike.
So I'm riding a KTM 450 SXF through the help of Off-Road Adventures. They're the ones who made this trip pretty much possible for me. My main sponsors for this event. So I'm going to be representing Team Kenya and Off-Road Adventure as well.
Who are you expecting to be your strongest competition? Traditionally, South Africa, probably the strongest on the continent. And also, Uganda, of course, normally give Kenya a hard time. How many riders have they sent for this event?
Uganda, I think they have about 26 riders. But in my class, there's just only one of them that are going to be in MX1. But there's still, strong number of South Africans that I'm going to be going against. Jesse Wright, Joshua Mlimi, Regan Wasmuth, and Darko van der Westen they're all pretty big heavy hitters. So not even that. Even Botswana has some pretty strong strong guys that I'm going to go against too. So it's going to be super interesting, and it's something I'm going to be excited for.
Apollo, thank you so much for speaking to us on Motorsport 411. Really appreciate the time and the best of luck in the event.
Thank you very much.
Apollo, let's not get embarrassed, particularly by our Ugandan neighbors. Send it,
Okay, all right. Full gas.
So that's team captain for Kenya, who's competing in the Motocross of African Nations, Apollo Mbuki. We'll be back.
All the 4 and 2-wheeled action. Motorsport 411. Motorsport 411.
So welcome back. There was drama galore at last weekend's Rally Finland, with Elfyn Evans overcoming the odds, including bad weather, to dominate the event. On the line is Colin Clark of Dirtfish. Colin, as always, thank you so much for speaking to us on Motorsport 411. What an event in Finland. Where do we start? Let's start off with Friday, where all the drama started.
Yeah, Friday was an exceptional day, wasn't it, Sean? If we get drama in a rally, it tends to be on the Friday. And it's very often the case with these fast rallies as well. Easy to get caught out with the speed, easy to get caught out, in particular this year with the conditions. But we kind of expected a little bit of drama, but what we didn't really expect was Rovanperä to make a mistake. For me, that was the wow moment on the Friday. Ott Tänak was just a little bit unlucky. Maybe you would say, being a little bit ambitious with his cut on that right-hand corner, taking a little bit too much of the corner off, and he found a rock, and that put paid to his chances. Esa-Pekka Lappi, it was a bad pace note. He was just way too optimistic with his pace note. But the one we didn't expect was Rovanperä. And do you know what? I've still yet to hear a decent explanation for what happened there. I've watched it a few times from the onboard and from the spectator footage, and a little bit strange, a little bit of a strange one. And certainly from Rovanperä, I think that's the first mistake he's made all year. Most unusual for Rovanperä. And the question, Sean, has to be, is the pressure of scoring a home victory beginning to build now on Rovanperä? That's 2 years ago, 3 years ago, actually, he made a mistake, crashed out the rally. Last year, it just didn't go his way. And this year, he's crashed out the rally again. We thought this guy was basically a bit of an untouchable god, but he's quite clearly showing us that he's human. And that's no bad thing. That's really no bad thing.
What did you make of Wout Tanak? It looks like he's having one drama after another with Ford. It was a bit unusual with the sump card, going like that. It appeared to be an issue with the setup of the car.
No, Sean. I think we need to be very careful with this, because it is very easy to jump on the bandwagon and start criticizing M Sport and the car. This one was absolutely nothing to do with them. If he'd been in a Toyota, if he'd been in a Hyundai, it didn't really matter what car he was in. If you hit that rock at that speed, at that angle, there's every chance you're going to do terminal damage to the car. Every chance. The sump guard is there to protect against stones. But if you're going too fast, if you're at the wrong angle, the sump guard's going to punch up, and it's going to punch up in one direction, and that's into the engine bay. And that's what's happened. We don't know if it damaged the engine. It certainly drained the engine of oil. So that's why he stopped. But that was not an M Sport issue. That was, we did a video beforehand, Sean, and we talked a lot in Dirtfish about how cutting grass corners in Finland is a risk, because within that grass very often are some hidden rocks. And we've seen it many times in the past, many times. Some of the great drivers in the World Rally Championship have been caught out what looks like just a grass cut. In fact, it's not a grass cut. It's a grass cut that's got a big embedded rock in the middle of it. And that's what happened with Tanak. He caught the rock and it broke the engine. Nothing to do with M Sport. Yes, the problem in Estonia was a manufacturer problem, but this one wasn't. So we can't blame Ford for that.
Now, at the other end of the scale, probably the most impressive drive of his career. What a win for Elfyn Evans.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I'd agree with you entirely. A really, really impressive drive. Don't forget when, Kalle Rovanperä made that mistake, Evans was only, I think it was 5-6 seconds behind him. Evans was just about on pace with Rovanperä. He was the man that was putting pressure on Kalle Rovanperä. Rovanperä crashes out. Evans is in the lead. He's then in a battle with Thierry Neuville, and it's a revitalised Thierry Neuville. It's a revitalised Hyundai i20 Rally 1 car. And Evans did a remarkable job. I feared a little bit, because we've seen these battles this year between Evans and Neuville going almost exclusively in Neuville's favour. But my goodness me, Saturday, Evans got out of bed, he got in that car, and he drove the nuts off it. And he drove beautifully. It was such a controlled drive, a controlled, fast, risk-free drive from Elfyn Evans. And I think I might agree with you. Maybe his best drive ever. He's had a few great drives. He won in Sweden a couple of years ago, and that was a remarkable performance. He won here, or he won in Finland 2 years ago. That was also a remarkable performance. But this one, considering where he's at in his career just now, maybe the odd question being asked about whether or not he can adapt his driving to suit these Rally 1 cars, and he comes out and he puts in a performance like that, it dispels any of those issues, of those questions, of those doubts that people might have had about whether Elfyn Evans really was worthy of that label as an elite driver. And there are only now 3 or 4 elite drivers in the sport. Elfyn Evans showing in Finland, he is absolutely one of those drivers. And you know what, Sean? It'll just take a set of circumstances when we go to Greece, and Evans will be right back in the fight for the championship this year. So yeah, it was great from, I think, Elfyn Evans' point of view, from a British rally fan's point of view, and also from just a general fan of rallying, because the way it was going, Rovanperä was going to win this championship with 3 events to go. That is now not going to be the case. So yeah, it was wonderful to see Evans. He's such a controlled character. He doesn't give a lot away. He doesn't get awfully emotional ever. But there was a little glimmer of emotion at the end, and that was great to see.
Another big story from the weekend, Toyota having a different team principal. The boss of Toyota, Mr. Toyoda, was in charge for the weekend. Jari-Matti Latvala behind the wheel of a 4th Toyota at the event.
What I've got to say is that I do hope that the people around the service park and the rally fans in general realise how privileged we are. Akio Toyoda, in terms of the automotive industry, is without any question the automotive industry's #1 man. Never mind Toyota. In the automotive industry, he is quite possibly the most important person in the whole world. probably next to Elon Musk, the two of them, for different reasons. And we had him. We had his undivided attention for rallying in the service park at the weekend, acting team principal. It was remarkable to see him okay with his entourage. And I tell you what, I think if King Charles had turned up in that service park, he wouldn't have had such a big entourage. He really wouldn't. It was quite remarkable. But he was there and he was doing what you would expect a team principal to do. He was open, he was honest, he was approachable. It was quite a remarkable privilege. And we're very, very lucky as a sport because, you know, he has said it, you know, he is banging the drum for rallying. And he's not just banging the drum for Toyota in rallying. He is actively talking to other manufacturers. He is actively picking the phone up and saying, you know, we need you in this sport. This is the greatest sport for proving the technological capabilities, the driving possibilities of cars. This is where you should be. So Toyota-san is a remarkable character and he is good for our sport. And we were so lucky to see him there at the weekend. It was a real privilege.
Colin, one thing you and I have in common, I'm not a big fan of standing in the rain for hours at a time. You were busy there, diligently conducting your videos for Dirtfish out there in the rain, but it proved to be very tricky for the drivers.
Really tricky. And you know what, I do... It's a dilemma for me, Sean, because when I see the forecast of rain, on the one hand, I think, oh, goodness me. The worst thing in the world is when you get back to your apartment or your hotel or whatever it is at 11 o'clock at night, soaking wet. You put your clothes out to dry. You get up again at 5 in the morning to go out rallying and you're putting on wet clothes again. Oh, my goodness me. It is horrible. But the flip side of that is that it does give us an extra factor, which really has the potential to mix things up. And, for me, we see drivers and cars at their very, very best when we get challenging conditions. And I love watching rallying. I love watching rally cars and rally drivers doing what they do in the rain and the mud. I don't enjoy quite so much standing out in the rain, getting absolutely soaked through. But who am I to complain? I'm not complaining. We all dry out eventually and we get on with it. It was not ideal, but great from a sporting perspective.
Colin Clark of Dirtfish, it is an absolute privilege to talk to you as always. Thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to us on Motorsport 411.
Sure, it's an absolute pleasure, but if we've got another minute or two, I've got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the weather like in March in Kenya around Naivasha? I'm hearing we might be coming to Kenya in March for the Safari Rally next year.
I tell you what, it'll be a little bit drier than what it should be. The thing is, one of the things I love about the Safari is that religiously on a Saturday, it seems to rain when we have the Sleeping Warrior stage. But it should be drier should the Safari be held in March.
Yeah, well, that's the rumour that's doing the rounds just now. Nothing confirmed. It's the time of year where we get lots and lots of rumours about next year's calendar. And the one that's doing the rounds this morning is certainly that we will be potentially heading back to Kenya in March. I'm not bothered. I could come to Kenya any day of the year, any week of the year, any month of the year, and I would love every minute of it. So March, June, July, I don't care. Can't wait to come back.
It is an absolute privilege. Thank you once again for joining us on Motorsport 411.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Colin Clark of Dirtfish will be back.
Motorsports 411 with Sean Cardavillis.
So that's it for the show this week. Our thanks once again to Just Meet the Iceman Chana, Apollo Mbuki and Colin Clark. Our thanks as always to Big City Studio. I'm Sean Cardavillis. See you next week.